This program is underwritten by the generous support of Stored Tech, technology solutions for computers, networks, and phone. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
Firms deal only with prevention, the systems that block hackers and viruses. Stored Tech knows the root cause is actually good people doing bad things. So we offer a security training program which includes certifying all participants to show they understand the basics.
Technology solutions for computers, networks, and phones. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
No, I have to.
I'd like to call the meeting together. It's a regular Town of Queensbury Town Board meeting, December 18th, 2017. Time is 7:06 p.m. Would you all please rise and join Councilman Brian Clements in saying the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, welcome everybody. Cold, chilly night out there. We'll warm things up for you, I hope. The first thing we have to do, according to the agenda, is move into the Queensbury Board of Health. So is there a motion to do that?
I'll move this in.
Moved by Councilman Brewer. Seconded by Councilman Ferrone. All in favor of moving into the Board of Health, say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. We're now in the Queensbury Board of Health. So Caroline, our first and only item before us tonight.
We have a public hearing on the sewage disposal variance application of Judy Pontiff.
Okay, Judy Pontiff, the owner of our residence on 52 Sunnyside North. The agent, Dennis McElroy, is coming up to the table to speak to this application. Originally, this application asked for some holding tanks to be in the rear of the house, and we did a site visit. It seemed to make much more sense to us to move the holding tanks towards, well, it depends, road side of the house rather than shore side of the house. And the pumper would be able to get to it easier on the road side, and on the shore side might have difficulty getting to it. Furthermore, it was farther away from the lake. However, putting it where we would like to see it, 2 holding tanks with a capacity of 3,000 gallons, does need some variances for the holding tanks. 32 feet from the Lot 9 well in lieu of the 50-foot setback, 29 feet from the on-site well in lieu of the required 50-foot setback, 23 feet from the future on-site well in lieu of the 50-foot setback, 41 feet from lot number 11 well in lieu of the 50-foot setback, 5 foot from lot number 9 property line in lieu of the required 10-foot setback, and 4 foot from the Sunnyside right-of-way in lieu of the required 10-foot setback to allow placement of the pump tank. It'd be 40 feet from lot 9 instead of in lieu of the required 50-foot setback, and 37 feet from the on-site well in lieu of the required 50-foot setback. But again, these are holding tanks, so the wastewater is contained and controlled. They do not depend on a filtration field. They are pumped out on a regular basis. And that's one reason why we had them moved as to where they're currently proposed on the roadside part of the residence. So, anything else?
No, John, thank you. I'm Dennis McElroy with Environmental Design, representing the property owner, Judy Pontiff, for this Board of Health variance application. With me also is the applicant, Craig Fredette. Craig hopes to purchase this property, and as it currently is situated, it shares a septic system, an on-site septic system with the property to the south, which is also owned by Mrs. Pontiff. In the future, perhaps there'll be a time when either through operational issues or just the property ownership, he may have to have an option for wastewater. This proposal of the holding tanks provides that option of being able to go to a holding tank in the future. And excuse me?
Not going to do it now.
Correct.
And the other resident, who is John Ellis, sent us a letter saying that he resides at 54 Sunnyside North, and he writes in support of the sanitary variances being requested for my neighboring property to the south. And I reviews the proposed plan and understand and am in agreement with the variances as requested. My own property is served by a holding tank system, so I am aware of the difficulty of the meeting, the required setbacks on the small lakeside lots. Thank you for your review of this request. And please understand that I have no objection to the approval of this application.
Great, and Mr. Ellis is here tonight as well in support of this application.
So do members of the town board?
I got one question for the attorney. Can we approve a variance that's not going to take place? I mean, it may at some point, but it's not going to happen right now.
They get renewed, I think they get renewed every year, right?
No, a variance runs with the land.
Understood. But he's asking for a variance that he's not going to do unless he has to, right? Is that what you're telling us?
I don't think you do it until he purchases the property.
Correct.
All right, just until he purchases the property. I thought I misunderstood you then.
Well, I'm not
Am I
saying that he
misunderstanding you, or
would.
am I understanding you?
No, well, let me restate it and make it clear. My understanding is that this is a provision for an option for a wastewater system in the future,
Right.
whether it's next year or 5 years from now, because it's currently shared on a shared system that is functional, operational. But as the
Never-
owner of the property, well, I think that we've done this in.
I won't say that we haven't, but I've been around a long time and I can't remember ever doing it. I won't say that we haven't, but I just don't.
It's a
recall.
buyer's insurance that he
No, I
knows
understand
that
that
there's
point,
an
but
option.
I'm legally,
I guess, the point being, if it's in the plans, what they're asking for is part of the plans and proposal that they're putting forward, the variance can be granted if it's acted upon, or if it's not acted upon, can be the decision of the applicant.
suppose, just hypothetically, he sells the land 10 years from now and it's never happens.
The variances are still approved.
They're
They
still
wouldn't
approved.
Need reapproval.
Do we need to approve from both parties or just the one party? Because, well, no, I guess it wouldn't matter from the other
You
party.
wouldn't, you
because
wouldn't
it's a
need
shared
new
system now.
variances. You wouldn't
Huh?
need you would not need new variances, but you may have some oversight in the construction or the build-out of whatever's proposed, but the variance would still exist. They wouldn't have to come back for the variance.
Okay, as long as it's.
What an applicant would have to do is get a septic disposal permit from Building and Codes. That's the next step from Dave's department, correct? Right now, this grants the variance that allows the applicant to make that application.
And this protects him in the event that Ms. Pontiff sells the other property, and whoever buys that property doesn't want to share that setback.
Correct. That's
So he's in a
exactly
position-
right.
That.
Okay.
Exactly
In
the
a position so
situation.
that you
that-
can have this variance.
That's right.
Okay, as long as, it's
Okay?
fine. I guess it's unusual. I just don't ever remember doing this.
Any other questions for the board? Any member of the public have a question in regards to this variance? Question or observation? Seeing none? Thank you, Dennis, for accommodating us that did the site visit that day and came up with this, and it delayed it a couple of weeks, but I think we have a better plan. So if there's no further questions, is there a motion to approve?
Close the public hearing first?
There's no public hearing. Yes, there was.
There was a public hearing, yeah.
It is a resolution entering the Board of Health, public hearing. I'll close the public hearing. Thank you.
Did you open it?
Well, I asked the public if they had any questions regarding it. Okay, now that the public hearing is closed, is there a motion?
So-
Tony?
Okay.
All right,
Then I'll
Councilman
second.
Medevere made the motion, seconded by Councilman Ferone. Roll call vote on this, please, Caroline.
Mr. Medevere?
Yes.
Mr. Clemens?
Yes.
Mr. Ferone?
Yes.
Mr. Brewer?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes. All right.
Thank you very much. Merry Christmas to
Merry
you all.
Christmas.
Same to you.
Talk to Greg, too, and neighbors and all that. Okay, that's the only item for the Queensbury Board of Health. So is there a motion to move out of the Board of Health? Moved by Councilman Clements,
I'll second it.
seconded by Councilman Brewer. All in favor of moving out of the Board of Health, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Next is a public hearing. Would you introduce the public hearing to the public, please, Caroline?
This is a public hearing on a proposed resolution enacting amendment to ordinance number 30 and its subsequent amendments concerning increase in fees associated with town building permit process.
Okay. So, Director Hatton is here. He's the Director of Building and Codes. And he came to me one day, well, actually more than once, and said, you know, probably it's time to increase the fees. We haven't done it since 2001. And so he went over it, and he had a rational basis to it, but Dave, would you mind coming up and speaking to the proposed ordinance number 30, increasing in fees associated with the town building permit process?
I guess, is there any questions from the board at all? I can explain the process I went through if you'd like, and hopefully it makes sense.
Yeah, well, first of all, it hasn't been done since 2001, right?
Correct.
And so you went and you kind of ascertained about how long it takes us, and the fees that we're looking at are closer to the approximate costs of doing business.
Yeah, I mean, it was a kind of a drawn-out process. There is no exact science to this. There is no place you can go and look for what municipalities charge for fees. Everybody does it differently. Some do it by cost of construction, some do it by square foot. Some just have flat fees that escalate as you increase the size of the building. So what I did was try to analyze costs of salaries, cost of benefits, cost of vehicles, travel expenses, to sites, clerical staff review, and then issuance of the permit, and boil that all into a formula, if you want to call it that. And then I came up with a cost per inspection, and then I multiply that out by the number of inspections we actually do on average permits, and it seems to cover the cost. There are some permits where we're going to break even, some will go over, some will go under. It's not a perfect science, but I think it's the closest I could come to make it fair and equitable to all parties. So, and that's where we came up with these numbers.
So a sample would be, let me say, I'm gonna put a deck or a porch. The 2001 fee was 10 cents per square foot, or a minimum of $60. The new fee will be 20 cents per square foot with a minimum of $125. Solar panels, the 2001 fee was $30, the new fee is $75. Carport, be 15 cents per square foot, minimum of $50. The current will be $75, flat fee. Cell tower is 100, the new one will be 150. A shed was 40, the new one will be 75. Unless it's over 300 feet, then it'll be a garage fee, right?
Correct.
So a pavilion, pole barn, canopy, gazebo was $40, it'll now be $75. A dock was 40, now it will be 75, and so forth. There's 2 pages. I just want to give the public an idea of what we're proposing here to increase the fees. Questions from town board members for Dave about the fee increases? Yes.
I just have 2, and they're both dealing, one is dealing with a dock and the other is boathouse with or without a sun deck. I realize that can be done on Glen Lake. It's like Sunnyside. Does that include Lake George?
Yes,
It does.
yes. Court ruling
I think
from,
we had jurisdiction over it.
court ruling from Supreme Court said that we have no jurisdiction when it comes to zoning, but we do have jurisdiction when it comes to building permits and structural issues relating to building permits because of building codes.
Okay,
So we can require dock
that's interesting.
permits. You're wrong,
Yeah,
Dan.
somebody that would,
And he's wrong.
okay, just wanted to. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else, questions? Okay, it is a public hearing. I'll open the public hearing on this matter. Is there any member of the public that wishes to speak to the amendment to the ordinance number 30 concerning increase in fees associated with the town building permit process? Yes, sir. Thank you, Dave.
Good evening, gentlemen. Ron Ball, Queensbury. It appears like everything is doubled or even gone more than double, all the fees. And what it looks like to me is like John's took the couch cushions and started shaking for change. And this is how he increases all the taxes in Queensbury, by starting off little things like that. And I just think it's the building codes department should be, they're all professionals in there, and we shouldn't have used any outside help at all. And it should be done in our department, and everything should be reviewed there, and nothing should be sent to Shazens for another review. That's a total cost that isn't necessary when we pay all these people quite well, I believe, and they're all professionals and they know their job. And I think you can draw the line here and maybe even back it off a little bit to encourage people to start building. And the more taxes you put on solar panels, the less you're going to see of them. And I understand too that the solar panel companies, they're starting to slow down a little bit. It's not increasing like it was. And if you want to go green, then you should give people some kind of encouragement or coupon or something that would allow them to go ahead and put the solar panels in instead of putting a tax on it. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay.
Ron, in reference to what you're saying, I understand exactly what you're saying, but in any cost associated with review, not necessarily review, but these building permits, they have to go out and inspect them. The cost has not gone up since 2001,
Right.
16 years.
When I built my first house, back in '65,
I waited for you to finish.
It cost me $10 for a little permit, and that's all there was to it.
I understand, that was back then.
I know.
But these guys all have salaries, we have benefits
That's
we
why
pay
we're
them.
paying our taxes, our lien taxes,
Yeah,
our
okay.
property tax.
Well, all I'm saying is, the costs have to go along with the times. If they haven't raised in 16 years,
So you're nickel and diamonds. That's what you're
not
doing.
nickel and dime, yeah, it has to be paid. We're gonna pay for it one way or another, let's put it that way. Either the people that are building are gonna pay it in
I don't
fees
agree
or,
with it. Thanks.
yeah, I know you don't care.
No, I do care, but I just don't agree with it.
Well, that's fine.
Okay, I just want to point out to the public that these fees are for inspections of building projects, have nothing to do with environmental or engineering reviews, okay? Just so we have that straight. Anybody else from the public like to speak to this? Seeing none? Town board thoughts, any last thoughts?
I don't agree with it back in Sundeck, so I'll be voting no on it, but otherwise I think everything's fine.
Well, nobody agrees with everything.
I know.
Okay. Is there a motion to
I'll introduce it.
approve, introduced
To
by
approve.
Councilman Brewer,
I'll second.
seconded by Councilman Metavier? Roll call vote on this item, please.
Mr. Clemens?
No.
Mr. Ferone?
Yes.
Mr. Brewer?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Mr. Metavier?
Yes.
All right. Motion passes. Public hearing closed. Motion passes. All right. Now, we are going to discuss 14 resolutions before us tonight. And I'm going to describe each one briefly. And should members of the public wish to come up and want to speak to any of the resolutions, I will give you an opportunity to do so. If there is a town issue that's not related to the resolutions, but you would like to talk to the town board about it, I do give you an opportunity at the end of the meeting to do that. But now, it's dealing with the resolutions before us. Like I said, there's 14 of them. So, Resolution 4.1, Caroline?
Resolution opting out of participation in the New York State Paid Family Leave Benefits Program.
All right, New York State, effective January 1st, 2018. New York State is putting forth a New York's Paid Family Leave, which is entirely employee funded. And it is a benefit for employees, paid by employees. And employers may collect the cost of the paid family leave through payroll deductions. The maximum employee contribution in 2018 shall be 0.126% of an employee's weekly wage up to the annualized New York State average weekly wage. The program is a step above the FMLA, and because it provides some funding during the absence. So municipalities are allowed to opt out. Private business, it's mandatory. Now, we have not heard anything from the employees yet clamoring that they want this, and it does cost them a little bit. And we can always add this to our program should the employees desire it. But for now, and because municipalities were exempt and at one time didn't have to do anything, then the state said, oh no, if you want to opt out, you have to pass a resolution opting out, and it has to be done before January 1st, and this is the last meeting. So there's a lot of good things. I mean, if you have a family illness, a pregnancy, military service, and so forth, this would give you some pay while you're absent. So, but like I say, it's pay that's based on employee payroll contributions. So you could get paid time off for 8 weeks, starting in 2018, increasing to 12 weeks by 2021. It gives you job protection, and for a municipality, when you take a family leave, you have job protection anyways. It's a continuation of health insurance while out in paid family leave, and municipalities pay the health insurance for a year while they're out on disability. So in many ways, we cover these. And our employees have sick days, personal days, vacation days. And like I said, I haven't heard anything. And we have a disability insurance and so forth. So if a municipality decides to opt out, its employees don't have to pay in. And so that saves the employees that additional cost. And like I said, to date, there's been no interest expressed from our employees to opt in. If that changes, and it is our employees' consensus to opt in, we can do that. So our employees are currently covered by the FMLA and disability insurance and so forth. So as the employees' knowledge grows, and like I said, if it becomes their desire to be part of this program, the town board would consider it. But this is a resolution to opt out for now. Resolution 4.2, Caroline?
Resolution authorizing memorandum of understanding between Town of Queensbury and Warren County regarding reimbursement of payroll expenses incurred at 2017 Adirondack Hot Air Balloon Festival.
Okay, they asked us to help with the Balloon Festival. We were glad to help out, and we were to keep track of our costs, and they came to $4,577.05. And we needed a memorandum of understanding, so this establishes a memorandum of understanding between the county and the town. And the one correction by what some of the public may have, and my town councilman, it is I have to sign this, not Tom. But in any event, we look forward to working with the county in the future. So I suggest that we have a memorandum of understanding for this event and other events that may come up in emergencies and so forth, with us helping the county and vice versa. But we need that memorandum of understanding, and so we've started to draft that up, so you'll see that in the future. But for right now, this is just for the Balloon Festival. Thank you, Caroline. 4.3.
Resolution authorizing Jeff Aurelia Scholarship Fund 5K Road Race.
All right. Jeff Rouillet. This race was established several years ago in Jeff Aurelia's name. He was a Queensbury High School teacher, passed away on New Year's Eve. And so as a result, we have a race, and it's a fundraising race. It'll be January 1st. It starts at 10 at Queensbury School and ends at 11 at Queensbury School. The donation go to college scholarships for Queensbury and Glens Falls High School graduates. They're going to be using Queensbury roads. They have their insurance certificate and highway approval included, and all they need is the town board approval, and that's 4.3. 4.4, Caroline, please.
Resolution authorizing advertisement of bids for sale of obsolete equipment.
Okay, various departments have equipment what they consider to be obsolete, and this puts them on gov deals to dispose of. Like a 2013 Hewlett-Packard design jet large format printer, a 1992 crematory retort, a 2006 Hustler mower, and so forth. Resolution 4.5.
Resolution awarding bid for natural light soda ash, liquid alum, and sodium hypochlorite.
Okay, we went out to bid for these, and the bids were awarded to the lowest responsible bidder. For natural soda ash, it went to Bentag Northeast for an amount of 25.9 cents a pound. That's a little bit more than we paid last year, which was 24.5 cents a pound. Liquid alum went to the Holland Company for $314 a dry ton. It was $289 a ton. Sodium hypochlorite to Slack Chemical for the amount of 76.8 cents a pound. But that went down because it was 78.71 cents a gallon, not a pound, a gallon. So this is a resolution to award those bids. Resolution 4.6.
Resolution authorizing town receiver of taxes and assessments to retain de minimis amounts received in tax payments.
All right, de minimis is a Latin term that means too trivial or minor to merit consideration. So, as an example, this year we have $100.30. People have overpaid their taxes. Now, 8 of those, that comes from 8 checks of folks who overpaid their taxes. 3 of those checks are for 70 cents, and 1 check is for 10 cents. I mean, so, and what we've experienced in the past is that the people don't even bother to cash the check for 10 cents, for example. So, New York State allows us for $5 and less to not issue the checks for the over amounts, but put them into the general fund instead, if this resolution passes. Resolution 4.7.
Resolution authorizing technical service change order number 1 regarding continued professional services of the Chazen Companies relating to Buckbee Road culvert replacement project.
All right, at one time, the Highway Department thought that they could go in and replace this culvert in Buckbee Road. After the preliminary engineering work was done, this became very technical. And Superintendent Van Ness, Highway Superintendent Van Ness, decided that this project had too many safety and technical challenges. Like, among other things, they require anchoring of this culvert into the bedrock or the rock ledge that was there. So this is going to be a $13,300 increase in spending for design and construction phase services performed by Chazen for work outside the original scope of Chazen's July 12, 2017 proposal as set forth in the Technical Services Change Order number 1. Bringing the new total for the contract price to $31,560. Resolution 4.8.
Resolution to amend 2017 budget.
All right, well, this is to shift money around from where it hasn't been needed to where new prices and new issues come up to where it is needed. Resolution 4.9.
Resolution authorizing promotion of Matthew Barrer from wastewater maintenance worker 1 to working supervisor.
Okay, there's a vacancy in the working supervisor position for Queensbury Wastewater's Department, and that was vacated by Rod Warrington. Rod was an excellent worker. He retired in October, so that left a vacancy. We have another great worker, Matt Barrer, and he's a full-time wastewater maintenance worker 1 in the department, requested a promotion to the position. Chris Harrington, who is the director of wastewater, thought fit for Matt Barrer to move into that working supervisor's position, and this is a resolution approving that. Resolution 410.
Resolution authorizing promotion of Jessica LaLuna, real property tax clerk, and Carlene Ramsey, real property tax service assistant, to vacant open positions of assistant to the assessor.
Okay, Mark Collier's retiring, so this has left a vacancy, so this is moving one person into his position and another person into that person's position. And that's the situation that's occurred here in the assessment office. And we have 2 current employees, Jessica LaLuna, real property tax clerk, Carlene Ramsey, real property tax service assistant. And she's recommending the promotion of those 2. And that's what this resolution does. Resolution 411.
Resolution authorizing hiring of Ryan Flansburgh and Caden LaLuna as seasonal employees to work for Department Parks and Recreation.
All right, well, this is for winter stuff that the Queensbury Parks and Recreation Department does. And usually their part-time employees don't get acknowledged by us unless they're related to somebody in the town. So these 2 are. Ryan Flansburgh is the son of Jamie Flansburgh, a mechanic in the Park and Rec Department. And Caden LaLuna is the son of Jessica LaLuna, assistant to the assessor in the assessor's office. So they have to successfully go through background checks as reasonably necessary to judge fitness for the duties for which they're hired. drug and alcohol screening just like everybody else. Resolution 412,
Resolution authorizing payments to North Queensbury and Queensbury Central Volunteer Fire Companies under current agreements.
all right, well, budgetary-wise, I think we're pretty much settled. North Queensbury and Queensbury Central Fire Company submitted very good budgets. I should speak for the board, but I went by the apparent concurrence of the board, and it seems that. However, there are some contractual language changes that need to be made to bring them up to date with current legal standards. So we want a little while to work on that. So this is anticipating that we might need January and February to do this, and this is a resolution to go ahead and pay them at the previous contract of 1/12 per month until we get that contract language finalized. Resolution 413,
Resolution authorizing advance payments to Bay Ridge, North Queensbury, and West Glens Falls emergency rescue squads under current agreements.
all right, in this case, the three rescue squads, Bay Ridge, North Queensbury, and West Glens Falls emergency squads, we, there's a lot of work to do with these budget items. Paid staff is one of the items that we're gonna have to wrestle with. And that's not going to be an easy thing, so I think it's gonna take January and February beyond their contractual date of December 31st. So this is another resolution, like the previous one, to pay them at 1/12 their current contract agreements for the months of January and February. Resolution 414,
Resolution approving audited bills December 19th, 2017.
all right, well, these are a warrant with a run date of December 14th and a payment date of December 19th totaling $1,475,475.37. And bills can't be paid until this board approves them. Those are the 14 resolutions before us tonight. Now I'll open it up to the public. If any member of the public has questions, observations, concerns, or whatever to share with the board in regards to those resolutions before us tonight, please indicate you're interested in doing so. Yes, ma'am?
Hello.
Hello?
I want to just ask a couple of questions about Resolution 4.1.
Yes.
So I'm curious as to if it's once a year, if you opt out now, right, is it for the whole year? Can the employees come back at any point in time during the year?
I believe, and I'll ask and find out, I believe it's an annual thing. In other words, we could opt back in next year. I'm not sure if it's an opt-in at any time. So I can't give you an answer to that. What I do know is this, the state wanted some kind of answer from us because municipalities are allowed to opt out, such as Saratoga County, Warren County. A lot of them have opted out because they cover their employees so well in other ways. And sometimes it's not something the employees want to do because it will cost them a little extra. It's not huge, but some of them don't want that. Some of the employees were coming up to me, we don't want it. Okay. Now, if it turns out that the employees do want it, this board will then consider that. But for now, since the state is forcing us to make a decision, opt in or opt out, we're deciding to opt out.
Okay. And are the employees, have they been made aware of the benefits of all of this?
I don't think anybody's that aware of this.
Because it is an improvement, right? I mean, it's a big improvement. It's partially paid. It's covering more people.
And if the employees want this and we get a feeling, because you'll be on this board soon, if we get a feeling this is what the employees want, we certainly will go in that direction.
Okay. So if you don't opt out now, they opt in? Is it an automatic thing that they opt in?
Yes, and then once you opt in and they start making investments, because it's an employee investment.
Yes.
And they're not happy about that.
Yes.
Then we're not in a good position. But if you opt out and the employees, there seems to be the consensus of the employees and a strong consensus to opt in and they don't mind paying this, they think it's a good thing, then fine.
Okay.
But for right now, I think the safer road is to opt out.
Okay, thank you.
Supervisor.
On the first question,
Yes.
believe that they can opt in with a certain amount of lead time. I believe it's 90 days, something like that. So we can opt in throughout the course of the year.
That's cool.
It's not just an annual light switch on or off. So you could change course throughout the year with a certain amount of lead time.
All right, so there's
That's good.
that. Well, thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Mike Crowe, Town Council Mike Crowe. Mr. Ball was next. Okay, John?
On this subject, is it all or none? You say employees. Can some have it and some not?
I don't think so, John.
You either opt in or you opt out. It's one or the other for the entire town.
So it's all or none.
It's everybody that's listed on the disability.
How do you do
for
that,
the town.
Jordan?
How it works.
When we contract negotiations and so forth, we can talk about it.
They have to pay for it, so you have to realize that
Yeah, I'm saying, some might want and some might not want. How do you,
I don't think you can go, if you go in, everyone has to pay in.
okay. All right.
You done yet?
Yes.
Ron Ball, I think I was just reading in the paper yesterday or today, Como was thinking about putting that in, like the unemployment insurance, the FICA that you pay in your weekly payroll. And it's going to be deducted from anybody that works in New York State. I don't know, I think I read it. I'm not sure he's going to mention it in the State of the Union address. So I could be wrong on the whole thing. The other question I had was about Buckby Road. Does that go up to Butler Pond Road?
Yeah.
So is that culvert that you took a picture of a few years ago that needed to be replaced? That's Glens Falls property on each side of the pipe, and that's Glens Falls water that goes through the pipe. Shouldn't they participate in this and help and fix it?
Well, I'm not so sure who owns the stream. They own the property.
Nobody owns the stream.
Water coming from their
Our job,
reservoir.
regardless of the stream that runs under the road, our job is the culvert in the road. That's our job.
Correct. But Glens Falls owns the property on both sides. It's posted. And the water actually comes from the higher reservoir, Big Butler, and it goes down into what we call Little Butler. And I think that's what it's called, right? Little Butler. But anyways, that stream flows in here. Now it's dried up a little bit, but it seems like Glens Falls should contribute to this some way. I mean, it's going to help out them just as much as us. If the road collapses, the water's not going to run into their reservoir.
Well, I suppose Glens Falls could argue that streams that rise in Queensbury and goes to Glens Falls, we have to pay for the culverts?
What happens if the pipe, you let it go and the pipe collapses? And Glens Falls Reservoir starts to drain?
We still have to repair it.
We would.
Wyndham Brook, we repaired that.
It's under our road.
Fox Road, we repaired that.
Much as you hate to, I would agree with you. I'd like to see Glens Falls pay for some of it too, but
Nope.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else like to speak to any of the 14 resolutions before us tonight? Seeing none, are there any particular resolutions that the town board would like to speak to or have a roll call for?
I have a question on 4.5. I just noticed thing on the sheet that it said lowest responsible bid on Allen.
Yes,
There was one that was lower.
they did not meet the criteria of the bid.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yes, yes. Very observant. But that's what happened there.
Thank you.
Any others, okay? Any roll call votes for any particular resolutions? Seeing none, hearing none? All right, a motion to move forward with 4.1 through 414.
I'll move it.
Moved by Councilman Brewer. Seconded by Councilman Clements. Roll call vote on those 14 resolutions, please, Caroline.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Mr. Brewer?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Mr. Metterbir?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes. All right, motion carries. Any correspondence?
I don't know.
Privilege of the floor. This is the opportunity to get to speak to the town board about town board issues that weren't part of the resolution. Does anybody have an interest in doing that? Yes, sir.
Good evening. For your record, my name is John Salvador. I'm a resident in North Queensbury. At your last meeting, this board issued a final order establishing the Cary Road Sanitary Sewer District and set plans in motion to engage CT Mail Associates for the engineering, design, and construction supervision, as well as establishing a capital project fund. Shortly thereafter, I read where an investor developer closed on the purchase of the native textile 116,000 square foot building located on 33.37 acres of land within the said sanitary sewer district. The same investor developer appeared before the town planning board on the 5th of December, offering a commitment to have his engineer evaluate the on-site sanitary waste disposal system for its compatibility with the future intended use, including future subdivision. Sounds like he's got so much land, he's going to subdivide it and build more facilities. There was no talk of joining the Cary Road Sanitary Sewer District.
Choice, John.
According to Section 5.8 of the MAP Plan and Report, after filing of the final order establishing the Cary Road Sanitary Sewer District, it was intended that this board would commence to secure financing for the project before authorizing final engineering, design, and construction supervision. That's in the plan. What has this board done to secure financing? At least a bond anticipation note. The map plan and report at section 7 says that this board will finance the project with a 15-year bond. The way I see it, costs are now running on that project. It's necessary in order to finance this that you issue a bond anticipation note. I don't hear any talk of that. I don't see any approval for that. Also, following the setup of the financing, it's necessary for this board to apply for project permits, including a seeker review. Now, I suppose you will submit the seeker review that you did months or years ago. If you recall, that seeker review did not entertain the thought of alternative solutions. And most importantly, the no action alternative. I think you're going to find this native textiles project would be out of their stark raving mind if they abandoned their on-site wastewater system. It's a very adequate design for 100 people. 100 people. There's no way they will, what their plans are for that project, doesn't sound like they will employ 100 people in that building. So there's plenty of capacity to begin with. The soils are excellent, and the lot is very large. And this is true of all the other lots in the Cary subdivision. They're very large lots. Addressing the issue of alternatives and especially the no action alternative is a necessary step that has been avoided by this town. In any case, it's the next step now is to arrange for the financing of this project. The costs are running, the construction costs of this project, according to the map plan and report,
John?
are less than $900,000.
I know. Okay, thank you.
You do, but the rest of the board doesn't.
Well, listen, John.
Yes?
You've written your points of view and you've sent them to this board.
Not on this subject.
Well, then you may do so.
Okay.
Anybody else like to speak to the board about town topics? Yes, sir?
I don't want you to laugh when I talk about this subject. But in the papers, local papers are talking about this Queensbury senior citizens room and about how they're supplying condoms. And it's becoming a big joke in different places, and you hear people talk about it. So what I would like the town of Queensbury to do is make a sign. And on that sign, I'd like it to read, "No glove, no love." Thank you.
Okay.
Jesus.
All right. Anybody else? All right, seeing none. I'll just point out that in circuit review, we did look at alternatives as well as no action alternative. Okay, we started with them. Town board discussions, start with Tony tonight.
Brian and Tim, thank you very much for your service. I miss you guys. Appreciate it very much. Don't be a stranger. Come and see us sometime, especially Wednesday night. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Festivus to the rest of us. That's it.
Rest of us. Okay, thank you, Tony. Brian?
Yes, I got a little thing here. I just wanted to say that after 5 years on the Queensbury Town Board, and very enjoyable and rewarding years on the zoning board and the Board of Assessment Review, I'd like to say that I'm proud and privileged to have served the residents of Queensbury over the past 15 plus years. I want to also thank the town employees and other board members for their very gracious help and advice, particularly in the beginning of my tenures. I never saw myself as a politician, but rather a concerned citizen willing to serve and help Queensbury grow and prosper. Most of all, I want to particularly thank the citizens of Queensbury that I represented and that supported me over more than a decade. I promise to continue to work for all of you as an ordinary citizen, as a watchdog on spending, helping to keep our waters clean and safe, and supporting the vital services we all want and need. I wish my successor, Catherine Atherton, the best, as well as the rest of the new town board. I'm passing along my folder of information on the student connection to Councilman Medevere. Merry Christmas. As esteemed Supervisor Strauss designated him our new representative, and to the councilperson-elect Atherton, all my folders on the ongoing projects and items in Ward 2 in the town in general. I'll bring them to you after the meeting. Thank you. I just want to wish everyone a happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year.
Oh, happy holidays. Yes, thank you, Brian. Is that it?
That's it.
Thank you. Yes, George?
Well, considering that we just experienced our first snowfall, a lot of emails on snow removal. Interesting. I had one gentleman from Crownwood was questioning the John Clendon extension and the project down there and how the street was plowed even though there's no homes down there, and also indicated he had some concerns with two-family homes, and I know that subject came up where there was an issue of a home wanting to do a mother-daughter type of situation, so, and I know you've looked into that a little bit, so I don't know if that's a subject we should delve further into.
Well, we can talk about it and see if we want to. Yeah.
Another email on snow removal, and this one was for Pinyon Pine, and, you know, it's interesting. You know, if the snowplow comes too close to your property, they could end up taking your mailbox out. But then if they stay too far away, the complaint is they're not plowing close enough to your property. So,
How do you win?
so I did speak with Tom Van Ness on this one, and he's aware of the situation, but I also pointed that out to the individual who sent me the email. Another email on snow removal had to do with Route 9 and the sidewalks. And this individual is a former associate of mine, and I guess she sees the same folks walking along. I guess they walk down to Walmart, or I'm not even sure if they go all the way down to Price Chopper, but they were in the street walking because the sidewalks weren't plowed. But this was, I think it was the very next day after the snow event. And so one of the things I just wanted to point out is that, you know, the first priority is getting the streets clean. And we apparently use the same resources for the folks that run the equipment to clean the sidewalks that we do for the trucks and the plows.
Some of the same people.
Yeah.
We use different equipment.
So it does take time to get out there, so people just have to understand that a little bit. I did express that as well. I guess the other thing I had was I saw Michael's note to the gentleman we had the special meeting on regarding the water fitting in the home, and I didn't know that apparently there's been no response from that gentleman in regards to dealing with that.
That's correct. As of last Friday, when the letter was sent, Chris had not been contacted regarding a follow-up inspection to make sure that the repairs had been completed. So we just wanted to make sure that the homeowner was aware of the pending deadline, and if kind of extend a hand if anything that Chris could do to alleviate a potential problem, or, like I said, alert him to the fact that the deadline is approaching.
In a week.
Right, yeah. And just lastly, as Tony expressed, thank Brian and Tim for their service, and I know I've only been here a couple of months, but appreciated working with the both of you and helping me and answering questions and all of that, and also wish everybody Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Okay, thank you, George. Tim?
Not much to say other than thank you for serving with me and letting me serve with you. It's been a pleasure and an honor. I've been around for a couple of years, and I appreciate everybody's work that's on this board, the attorneys, the staff, and the new town board members, and I wish you all luck and Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Okay. I want to bring you up to date.
And I am going to miss this.
As you know, the Department of Labor did an inspection as PESH, the Public Employee Safety and Health Act, and found that our workplace violence training needed to be updated and refined to meet their compliance standards. And my executive assistant, Victoria Lamar, and as Human Resources Manager, and Mike Palmer, Fire Marshal and Safety Officer, met with Joseph Cook. He's the Senior Safety and Health Inspector for the Department of Labor, who gave guidance and program information for us to be able to make the revisions they expect of us. And also as a result of that meeting, Victoria and Mike are putting into place a formal workplace violence program, which will be adopted by the town when they get done with. And this will include a written program for addendum to the employee handbook, a policy statement, which will be posted at each workplace. We'll be performing risk assessment for each department so that we can train each employee on the risks involved with their particular workplace. And we will institute some training through working with the department managers on training their staff so that each employee understands and is aware and is instructed on how to identify, handle, and report any and all incidences of workplace violence in a proper manner. So we're working on that. We're making headway. And I wanted to share that with you. I just got this recently. I regret to inform you that the consolidated funding application number 76750, the Rockhurst Road Stormwater Management and the Paved Drain System Project, was not selected for funding through this year's Green Innovation Grant Program. The applicant pool was extremely competitive, but I encourage you to work with our staff to further develop an application for future round of funding through the Green Innovation Grant Program. Well, Kathy Bozzoni is looking through other grant programs, and we'd really like a grant that would help us in design and assess what road materials. And we're looking at the road that is on Assembly Point, that is right on the shore. We're looking at Cleverdale and the peninsula part. We're looking at Rockhurst on the peninsula part. What can we do to make those roads more permeable so that the stormwater issues on those very dense peninsulas becomes less of a negative impact on the lake south? We would like, is a porous pavement, paving blocks, some other kind of design is most appropriate. We'd like to get some funding for the engineering of studying what we can do to improve that situation on those three peninsulas. All right, well, we didn't win this round. Just wanted to give you that bad news. Now, the part that Tim has been waiting for, my report to the board and community. Following our last town board meeting, going to December 5th, Tuesday, we had a property transfer law meeting, and John Salvador was there, where we pretty much finalized the draft, well, at least got it closer to the final version, maybe I should safely say that, of the property transfer law at that meeting. I think we're pretty good. We met with Stored Tech to discuss the future of records management preservation. As you know, we're investigating going to a cloud arrangement for records preservation. Then I went to economic development holiday mixer, which was very nice. On Wednesday, December 6th, had a Warren County Safe and Quality Bicycle Organization meeting. On December 7th, we met with Warren County town clerks to discuss those town clerk issues that we're having with the way we handle dog control. And there was a Queensbury Senior Citizens Christmas luncheon. And then we met with the Warren County SBCA to discuss some issues we're having with that SBCA organization and animal control, dog handling, that is. December 8th, we had a town holiday party and the tree lighting. It was very nice. There was a lot of people attending this, a lot of kids. They were joyful and happy. It was a great time for all. On December 9th, Saturday, Stored Tech had their Christmas party. On Monday, December 11th, we met and discussed the highway garage site plan and the potential environmental impacts. Jim Liebram was there from the Warren County Soil and Water Conservation District. And a representative from DEC Region 5 was there. And there didn't seem to be any strong concerns over what we're planning for site development and the wetlands that were adjacent to it. You know, we can probably progress and might have to do some things. Then I had a county facilities meeting where we met with a representative from the Genesee County Airport. They did a runway extension, and they found that the runway extension brought in additional revenues that airport in that county, Genesee County, the airport pays for itself. Economic benefits to the region because of the runway extension. Then I had a Clean Energy Communities meeting. We discussed power stations for electric car and solarization. That night we had a town board workshop where we discussed fire and EMS contracts. And that was all on December 11th, last Monday. December 12th and 13th, I went on a short vacation to New York City. On December 14th, I met with Mike Crow to discuss an arbitration hearing, I call it, and that's forthcoming. Met with Steve Chakowski, and I shared some of his thoughts with you and wanted your thoughts. SUNY Adirondack Board of Trustees meeting, and then the Adirondack Glens Falls Transportation Council had a public meeting with various routes or paths that might go from Peggy Ann Road down to Hudson Point or Cronin Road or tie in with the feeder canal. So we looked at those routes and got some public input on that. On December 15th, had a County Board of Supervisors meeting. And December 17th, yesterday, Sunday, I was in working. December 18th, we had a county facilities meeting to discuss RFQ and RFP for an airport FBO. I met with Paul Derby, Solitude, and Regional 5 DEC representatives to discuss Glen Lake's aquatic plant invasives management plan for 2018. And then I'm here for the town board meeting. Okay, so I too wish to thank Tim and Brian for your service to the town, and we'll see you, I'm sure, in the future. We still got to go to Boston.
Yeah, we do.
And again, I wish a nice send-off for both of you. And for the public and everybody, I too share the same thoughts as everybody here. I wish you a happy holidays. And last, I want to thank Look TV, our cameraman Joel Barlow, and our sponsor Stored Tech, and everybody here attending. And that's it for me. Is there anybody, all right. Anything else for the good of the order?
What's that?
Motion to adjourn?
I think we ought to let Tim do it.
I'll move it.
Who made the motion to adjourn? Second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Brewer. All those in favor say aye.
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 We're adjourned.
This program is underwritten by the generous support of Stored Tech, technology solutions for computers, networks, and phone. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
Firms deal only with prevention, the systems that block hackers and viruses. Stored Tech knows the root cause is actually good people doing bad things. So we offer a security training program which includes certifying all participants to show they understand the basics.
Technology solutions for computers, networks, and phones. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.